Hello. Winter time is a good time in the forest. A good time to ask some interesting questions about plants. Today is December 23rd, and I'm staying on a mountain not far away from Kyoto, on the east side of it. And here is a plant which I want to identify. So, very frequent question: how to identify the plant? How to ID the plant which you see? You see the plant and what to know the name. I think that question arises many times. So what is a typical approach? Of course, you can make a photograph and then send it to somebody who probably knows the plant. This is good. Sometimes it goes, sometimes it fails, but disadvantage of it that you will probably not remember quite well that determination. Much better is analytical approach. Analytical approach means that you will study the plant just a little bit, ask some very important main questions. And this approach is better because it's kind of double dipping. You will finally understand the name of plant, and you also will know more about the plant. The next time your ID might be much easier. So, which questions to ask? How to start? I will tell today about three main questions. The first question is very obvious. Actually, all these questions are very obvious. The first question is very obvious. So, is this tree or not? So, what is a tree? Tree is something which has one trunk. So, that plant has one trunk, and this is obviously the small one, but it's a tree. So, other stuff, woody stuff, typically called shrubs. And also there are plants without woody parts, which we call herbaceous plant. So that question is number one because it's very sharp character. So there are not much intermediate forms, in betweens. For example, there are very little amount of plants which is hard to tell what is a tree or is it a shrub. Well, the explanation is again quite easy because if you grow multiple trunks out of the root and each trunk is quite tall, so kind of tree shrub approach, all these stems will compete with each other for the light and for the root system. So it's not a very nice idea to make multiple tree out of one root system. So this is hard. This is a rare situation, and even more rare are strange cases like case of raspberry or case of bamboo. So you probably will have the good answer to that first question. Second question, also very important. Is it evergreen or deciduous? So obviously this one is deciduous without leaves. Again, there are intermediate cases. There are plants which stay kind of half-leafed for the winter, plants which make change color for the winter but stay with leaf, and so on and so forth. But generally, again, this is quite a sharp character, and also explainable why, because the signal which plant issue to drop the leaf is kind of chemical signal, and chemical signal is very hard to make restricted. So plant is switched either off or on. Either it stays with leaves all winter, or it will drop leaves and stay naked, like this plant. So these are very important and easy to answer question. Third one is not easy to answer, but also extremely important. What is a phyllotaxis? Sorry for the word. Phyllotaxis means how leaves of plant are located on a stem. So there are two general arrangement of leaves. One of them when two leaves are across each other, opposite arrangement. Sometimes more than two, like 3, 4, 5, but generally two. Or it may be alternative leaf phyllotaxis, or it's sometimes called spiral. So leaves one, second, third, and so on. So they never ever across each other. So this is a question which sometimes hard to answer, but with some little training, you can do it very easily. So even in this plant, which has almost no leaves present, you can easily answer it if you look on buds and branches. So there are no buds and no branches which are exactly opposite to each other. Exception present here. There are flower buds which are opposite, but normal buds, long buds which will produce leaves and new stems next year, they always alternate. And in the general architecture of the plant, there is nothing which tells you about opposite arrangement of leaves or branches. So branches and leaves arrangement is typically similar. That's a good help. So this plant has alternative phyllotaxis or spiral phyllotaxis. This is an interesting character which help you to determine plants tremendously, because in a very big amount of plant species, like probably 1/3 of the million plant species in the world, so only few have something which very hard to characterize either as spiral or as opposite. So normally you can always say, okay, this is opposite and this is spiral. So this is character number 3. And I told you about 3 characters and I want to show number 4. Well, why not? So about leaves. Leaves, of course, leaves themselves are very characteristic. The shape of leaf is quite stable through the plant. So, but wait a minute, this plant is deciduous. So how to know what leaves are? Well, first of all, you're kind of lucky today because there is at least 1 leaf on that plant. So you can easily see this tri-lobed structure of the leaf. This is one of Linderas. But if you're lucky and if you're smart enough, you can look down. And of course, that determination of what leaves of plants and you look down is a bit of art, because leaves are coming from all other surrounding plants, and leaves which came later might completely cover leaves which came earlier. In that case, it's exactly the case. Leaves of oaks, which are much taller here, are covered leaves of Linderas. But you can find them and understand this is a Lindera plant. So these are 3 + 1 questions about plants in winter. Again, this is December 23rd, not far away from Kyoto. Thank you.